Hello, everyone. Welcome to the social media training. I'm super excited about this. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how social media can really be an amazing strategy to help leverage your business. And there's some amazing tools here. To be honest with you, I used to think social media was dirty. I didn't think it was very effective, and I didn't really think it was going to do much for my business. Nowadays, I would really argue that you don't even necessarily need a website. If you have good clients and you're doing word of mouth style marketing, you're getting in front of people, and you have a solid social media account. One of the things I would say with social media is it really helps to optimize your presence. I've talked about this thing, anchoring. That as a personal trainer, you really do have this first impression thing that people will get from you when they see you. They see your content. They see your clients. If I'm walking around and I'm working with a professional bodybuilder on the gym floor and someone sees me, even in just that 1 second for the first time, they're going to think, oh, he only works with bodybuilders. Or if I work with a 78-year-old woman who's very frail and slow, they're going to think, oh, he only works with old people. He doesn't work with athletes like me. Now, whether or not that's true or not, this is where we get to use our social media presence and the images and the content that we put online to really show people who we work with. And so there's a couple of things that I would urge you to avoid when it comes to social media, depending on your practice. The reason why I would say depending on your practice is because some of these things I'm going to say actually may not necessarily be relevant. It actually might be relevant to your model. But the model I would help to promote to you, I would suggest we promote, like we talk about in our mastermind group, is we want to build a data-driven, client-centric practice. And if it's a data-driven, client-centric practice, this creates an opportunity for us to constantly be sharing science. And we're really trying to talk about this lifelong participation with exercise, because in reality, and you don't need me to say this, if you look up the Mayo Clinic and any other World Health Organization, resistance exercise has some amazing properties. It's our job to make sure that our messaging connects with our niche market and their emotional needs to have a high quality life for their entire life and not be limited by the things that could stop them: arthritis, pain, aches, obesity, whatever it may be. So there's two things I want to avoid to you. One is a much more common one that'll make sense to you, and then second is a mistake that I made, and I'll even be able to show you when we look at my Instagram account in a second. First, nudity and nefarious content does not go very far. Now, this may sound odd, and why am I bringing this up? Fitness professionals will often carry a lot of weight with how they look as professionals, the shape that they're in, the amount of muscle they have on their body, their leanness, and in very small niche markets, this is a very powerful thing. However, the problem is that your entire product is based off of you and your looks. And the idea that when people see you and they see this incredible shaped person and you're using your body to sell your content, even if it's just someone saying, look at my muscular chest or whatever it may be, they assume that the product that you're going to sell them is going to help them get the same results that you have in a short period of time. In reality, I've been bodybuilding, exercising for nearly 20 years, and I'm in okay shape, but I'm not in the most amazing shape. Because it's hard. It takes a long time to grow muscle. And if you want to stay really lean, as many of you know, outside of the genetically gifted, it takes a lot of consistency with food. So I would really urge you to stay away from using your shape and your body and your strength as pillars in your marketing world. In reality, instead of using you and your physicality as the main pillar, let's focus on education and offering quality content. The second thing, which was my mistake, was that I was so focused on all of this awesome exercise stuff that I was taking pictures of all the exercise machines I'd acquired over the years. I was taking pictures of my facility. And it was easy for me because there's two reasons why I did that, and it didn't work out either way. One, I love exercise machines. And I thought, hey, these are Kaiser exercise machines are so unique. Everyone here must love them too. Okay? Not exactly true and doesn't say too much. The second part was I was afraid to ask people if I could take a picture of them. I got nervous. I'm like, what are people going to think if I ask them if I can take a picture of them? And that was my identity getting in the way of my role as a facility marketer and media management person. So, what do we do? Well, I want you to think about a couple things. First and foremost, colors, fonts, and branding absolutely matters. And if you're someone who this is totally new to you, I would suggest checking out a bunch of different businesses, your favorite businesses, my business, and see is there a color combination or lettering style that resonates with you. The colors you choose, the consistency you have amongst all your mediums is a part of your brand. If you look at Strata's content, and we'll look at the website here in a moment, you'll see I got a lot of yellow, a lot of gray, a lot of white, and then there's inflections of blue like I'm wearing right now to really help people pop and have some contrast when I'm taking images. So colors are important. Consistency in font goes a long way because it gets to the point where people see specific fonts and specific names and people resonate with that and they connect with that and they go, oh, I know, that's Strata. Now, another big thing here is consistency matters. And now this is a tough thing because I would have people say to me things like, well, I don't want to post on Instagram every single day. That's totally fine. But the thing is you have to think when you create a social media post and you put it out there, what are you really asking for when you put a post out there for your business? You're asking for someone to look at it, engage it. You're asking for someone's time. So when you put a post out there, if you're asking for someone's time, it would behoove you to try and make your content worth their time. And if it's not worth their time, they're not going to pay attention. They're not going to follow you, and they're not going to engage you. And it's unlikely you're going to be able to get traction in new business observing your content if you're not creating content that engages people. And so what kind of content do people engage with? Well, that's a great question. Well, what kind of content do you like? For me, I like content where I get something out of it. I like education. I like learning. I like seeing crazy things. I like new things that are outside of my wheelhouse. And those are the social media accounts that I follow. I follow some friends out of respect to their business because they do some cool stuff. But most of the accounts I'm really interested in, and I'll show you one in particular in just a moment, that I like to learn from. I get information and it really helps me. Now, a big thing, tell you what, let's have a look at something. So what I want to show you is I actually want to show you Strata Internal Performance's Instagram page and talk about some of the decisions that I've made over the years. Now, as many of you can imagine, I can't load too many. If you go back and you look at images from a long time ago, I probably have a social media account that looks like a lot of other people's, where there's images of iPhone pictures. There's things like my Mazda Tribute that you can see here pulling a U-Haul truck. And the image quality was not that great. Colors were all over the place. Images were all over the place. But if you're looking through this account with me now, I want you to just kind of notice there's a lot of pictures of people and a lot of pictures of people's eyes. And I'm trying to really showcase who comes here. Because when someone sees someone like Glenn here doing a quick tip video, or Taylor here, who are both, they're mentors in this program, which is fun that they're right there, right? They see these pictures of these people and they go, he's a young person, this place must be for young people. And then they see Manny over here, and they see this white hair person here, and they see this woman here, and they see this white hair woman here, and all these people are people who are generally considered fragile and sensitive. Yet, if you look at this image of Diane, she's exercising. She is a type of woman, looks like that she might be hanging out in the library, and instead she's on a Kaiser leg extension machine. So when we talk about doing things differently here, and this is one mistake that a lot of people make, is that they'll talk about, hey, we do things differently here. We use exercise to help people. That's fantastic. But instead of telling them you do things differently, show them. So there's a couple pieces of content that I'm really, really proud of. So myself and Glenn, we have done a lot of Strata quick tip videos. So for example, of that.
Hi, I'm Glenn with Strata Internal Performance, and I want you moving and exercising pain-free. Today's quick tip is taking place on the Cybex rotary torso machine. This is an excellent machine to train your trunk. And when you do it, make sure you push your chest into the pads before turning. When you shove your chest into the pads, you connect with the machine better, and you're gonna be able to get the most out of every repetition.
Right, so you guys can see Glenn is talking about what he's doing, and then you even look at the description here. You know, I'm not just saying, hey, this is a great exercise. It's actually informative. Did you know the rotary torso machine is often one of the most overlooked core exercises? It's true. It literally stimulates every single muscle in your midsection when you perform it right to left. It's amazing, right? So here I'm letting people know, hey, here's a machine that you might not be necessarily using, and it's extremely powerful. The next side of this thing is I try to be as informative as I can with who comes here with video content testimonials. So I'll see if we can find one here. Here, I'll play. I want to find Sue's. Our clients are really the best representation of who comes here. So here's a COVID-19 picture, right, showing someone who comes here. The gentleman's even wearing Crocs with his COVID-19 mask on. The people that come to your facility, the people that come to see you, they are your true champions. So I want to find, here's a perfect one right here.
Started coming here to Strata on the recommendation of my chiropractor. He had been seeing me, and we were doing what we could with my feet, because my feet were my problem. I'd been in orthotics for about 15 years at that time. I couldn't be anywhere without shoes on, except unless I was sleeping.
So you can see here that using this champion model I've kind of talked about a bit, this client here, she's talking about all the things that she couldn't do. So you're marketing your social media. It should be education-based, but then it should also showcase who someone becomes when they engage in your program.
So that's how I started at Strata, and the things that were shown to me there from the very beginning, the goal was so that I could walk on the beach, and so I could be about happening. What I did during the 55 minutes that I had with Brandon when I came was immediately like constant feedback during that time. And then I would go home and I would...
Right, so you guys can see that this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, is that, and please go through all of our content and have a look, because I believe that I can say, and anyone that has a business, you can say some amazing things about your business. But it's when you see someone like James or Joan or Diane, right, regardless that it's about reopening, these are the people that tell your story. These are the people that tell your story. So let's look at one more account that I've got in connection with Glenn here. So Glenn and I, in case you didn't know, we got this podcast called the Minds on Muscle podcast. It's pretty awesome. We interview some awesome guests. We have a fitness business section where we talk about things like this. We go deep into it, and we talk about educational topics. And if you look at this, the whole thing is consistent, right? We post only 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We don't touch it otherwise. We do little stories in between. And if you actually look at what's called the grid of Instagram, it is consistent, clean, and it's pretty clear that it's an informative piece of content with the infographics and so forth. Now, what you might be asking is, if you're looking at all this stuff, is, okay, well, where do I start? Well, first and foremost, what I would suggest is figure out what you like. What colors do you like and what brands that you like? And I want to show you 3 different business pages that I get inspiration from because they help me learn more. First and foremost, this is Apple. In case you didn't know, I am a huge Apple fan. But when it comes to social media, Apple does this great thing where they have completely made their page all about their brand. Now, it's kind of misleading if you don't read the description at first. You look at all these things. This is Apple, right? Apple makes iPhones, computers. You look at all these images. None of these images really have anything to do with iPhones, MacBook Pros, M1, anything like that. Here, if you look at all these images and you actually click on one, look what it says in the description, right? Shot on iPhone. You're like, wait a second. And then all of a sudden you start looking at all these images and you'll realize that all of these brand related images were shot on their products. And you start really realizing, wow, I could have the power in my hands to take these kinds of beautiful photos with their products. So they've done an incredible job of showcasing all these amazing images through their products. So this is an amazing page, right? Because this is the whole idea of your marketing should be about who you become after they engage in your service. So this isn't a service, this is a product, but look at the benefit that you get from engaging in their product, right? Just amazing. Now, this is actually a YouTuber that I like to follow named Peter McKinnon, and he's a photography and videographer. And I'll be honest, if you guys are looking at my stuff and you ever look at the videos and the images and you go, wow, everything looks really sharp, well, that's because I've invested a lot of time and money now into hardware and skills, right? Money later activity. If you're in the mastermind, you know what that's all about, to help me become better at these things so I can make all of our content look exactly as I want. Looking through Peter McKinnon's page here, Peter McKinnon is a photographer. And if you look at everything here is relatively the same color. There's consistency amongst all of these images, regardless of what the image is, right? He's even got an image. He's got an image of, I think, a knife here, snowmobile, four-wheeler, trucks, snow, drinking coffee. All these things totally different, but look the same. And for Peter, his whole thing is trying to showcase the consistency and the quality of photos and showing the depth and giving an experience of these photos. These are all awesome photos, right? And so if you want to learn more about photography, I would say check out Peter McKinnon on YouTube. He's got some amazing stuff, but you can get an idea of what his grid is all about. Now, another example very quickly is a little bit more of a totally different example. And this is Craig Ballantrae. If you haven't heard of him, he's actually like a fitness business coach, and he kind of does what I do, except on a really, really large scale and with more online people. And you look at his page, and it is totally different than both the pages, my pages and Peter's page and Apple's page, right? But it is abundantly clear what you're going to get when you sign up with him, right? It is clear this is all about business, right? Millionaire morning habits, right? Bedtime routine, tips from a CrossFit owner and father, business owner, how to film and edit 20 videos in 2 hours, right? Rich versus poor, right? This guy's clearly all about money and business, which, whether or not you believe and you like that methodology and that philosophy, that's fine. He's got some in-shape pictures to show he's a fitness guy. All of these things are making it clear that he's all about business. And that's his business, right? He's in the business of business. So when we come back to the Strata page, it's not professional photography, but if you look at it, look, we've got a dumbbell floating, right? That's kind of weird and engaging, right? Interview with Mel Davis, education, right? We got an average person doing a weird looking exercise. We got an average person wearing a mask doing exercises that you might see a bodybuilder do. You got Maxwell, he's the real CEO, right? Unique looking look, here's another one, right? Unique looking exercise. What's he doing here? And the idea is that all of these images are going to showcase things that people don't normally see in a really beautiful, dynamic way that clearly showcases that we are at Strata with some contrasting colors that look really, really sharp and really, really help. Now, one of my favorite things that I like to do, and I've streamlined the video process, and I'll give you a quick example of this here, is, let me find another good one here, is so I do this thing, and this is where consistency is so important. If you want to do anything, post 3 times a week. Try and post one thing that agitates people. That's for another time. Post one thing that is education-based, talking about a good experience that a client has had, and then I want you to try and do one piece of informative education content. And so I have this segment that I created at Strata called the Strata Quick Tips. I post them every single Friday for the last 2.5 years since I started it, consistently always there. And I get like quite a bit of engagement, like 119 views here and 9 comments, right? And so what's an example of the Strata Quick Tip?
Strata, and I want you exercising pain-free. Today's quick tip, please consider removing foam rolling from your repertoire. Foam rolling is a very aggressive form of releasing muscles and trying to make changes to your body. In fact, it's very difficult to focus on any one tissue. Our body is much like a hamburger, where we've got skin, fascia, muscle, nerve, much like a bun, cheese, bacon, meat. And it's impossible to focus on any one tissue and just focus on a knot or a tight muscle. In fact, try to focus more on contracting those muscles, because if you can focus on an active, contraction-based scenario, like an isometric, you can make longer-term changes and not cause any discomfort. Hey everyone, this is Brandon.
What a good looking guy. And just because when we're finishing this whole thing off, once in a while I'll throw a couple pictures of my beautiful son in there because he's at the facility and it looks really, really good. And it just helps to build connection and rapport with everything that we do. So, for anyone that's watching, I hope that was helpful for you. Ultimately, I want you guys thinking about this idea when it comes to social media of a couple things, right? Don't go crazy with it, but all of this, a lot of these things are not going to bring you a lot of business. This is kind of that 80% optimization of things looking really, really good and sharp and clean and consistent. So that way, when people do find you, they can really get a lot of information about your business and the things that you do. And so I have a lot of people who've heard of me, they've heard of Chris, they've heard of Taylor, they've heard of someone that's here, and they go, what do they do? What do people first things do? Is even if they know how much you cost and what you do and you're an expert at what you do, they go onto Google and they search you, right? And so when they search you, you need to have all of these fixtures in place. Now, it can be overwhelming at first, and this is where one of the things we talk about is focusing on one of these things and optimizing it and having it all lead into building a community, which is the most important thing, so you get that 20% return. But ultimately, it all starts somewhere. And so if you're not on Instagram or Facebook or some sort of social stream, I would get out there, start doing something. And the great thing is I've, over the years, invested into a lot of professional gear, like even this camera right here. The lens I have, this is $800 and the camera is $500, and that's why it looks so darn good. You don't need that. If you have an iPhone or a Samsung phone, the portrait modes in these things nowadays are insane, and that's where it starts. So optimize your social media. Create a nice platform. Make it so beautiful, even the first handful of posts, that when people search you, your social media is clearly describing what you do. Because when people look at this, they see people who are struggling with problems. They see real people in a crazy place exercising pain-free who have real stories, and they've all become really amazing people. So everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you know anyone that could benefit from this, please check this out. As always, I'm super excited about helping personal trainers market and build their sales and back-end process so that way they can have the business that they want. So if you want to talk more about having a data-driven, client-centric practice, and you really want to talk about this whole mastermind thing, you want to go warp speed, or you just want a free business audit to talk about where your business is within that FIST formula and what you can do to help get things going for you right away, please book in the Calendly link. I'd love to talk to you. And if you know someone that could benefit from this, please tag. But at the end of the day, your reputation comes down to the quality of the education, delivery, and how people see you. And think about this. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you've got quality, clean, articulate content, that speaks worlds.